of our speaker series. Maybe you've heard, but we are doing a series of 3 different speakers this week. And you can find more information about that on our site if you're interested, and I'll post it below this. But today, most importantly, we are with Susan Weis-Bohlen, an amazing teacher, Ayurvedic expert, author, my dear friend, a mentor, a woman that I have learned so much from. And I am looking forward to sharing her wisdom with you as well, because I know that it will inspire you and it will give you a different view, perhaps, of the way you look at your animals or look at nature, look at our own place in the bigger whole. So why I also love sharing Susan with all of you is because we get to share her more with you in our class that's upcoming, our big course. We do this annual comprehensive program online. It's called Total Wellbeing for Dogs. It starts next Thursday, the 7th, and it is available now for registration. You actually have discounted pricing available till Saturday. And why I share this is because Susan is one of our 6 expert speakers. It's over 6 weeks, the course, and each week we dive into a different topic, actually one of the pillars of well-being. And we have different experts, Susan being one of them. She really gets into the conversation of inner pharmacy, so how to use all of the senses to help balance our animals and ourselves. Fascinating conversation. So that's why we're here today, and wanted to give Susan a chance to get to know some of you. You get to know her and let her bright light shine so you can see what she's all about. So thank you, Susan, for being here.
Oh, thank you so much. I love how we both came to animals from our study of Ayurveda, and we saw that it was a natural connection from our own well-being to the well-being of everybody who lives with us. I mean, the husband or the partners included, but the animals, it became such an extension of our Ayurvedic practice. And I remember seeing that years ago when you started this, and I was in touch with you, and I was like, I do animals too. And it was just so awesome that we could connect on that level.
Yeah, and our background being so unified, obviously our love for Ayurveda and this work, but both of us coming through the Chopra organization, studying directly with Dr. Deepak Chopra, and so he's kind of like the the inspiration and kind of our leader behind so much of what we do and what we love. And so it's been very special to have that conversation and have that connection behind us. So many years of friendship because
Absolutely.
of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just get right into it, Susan. For us to get to know you a little bit more, tell us in a nutshell version, of course, how did you become the Ayurvedic expert that you are today?
I feel so humbled and that you call me an expert. I remember when I studied at the Chopra Center, my main teacher was Dr. David Simon, who I know you were very close to as well, and David G. And I remember Dr. Simon talking about how he could be studying and working in Ayurveda for 50 years and still just getting at the very, tip of the iceberg of it. And it's so true. It's such a vast sea of knowledge that myself as an Ayurvedic practitioner, I know where my expertise lies, and it's very much in lifestyle and food, and as well as animals and people's relationships with themselves and the natural world. So, I came to the Chopra Center myself to have Panchakarma, to take a course called, what was that course called?
Was it Creating Health?
No,
or the Soul of Healing?
Perfect Health. It was
Perfect Health. Oh, that, of course. It was the regular one. I thought it was the older version.
Yeah. In 2007, I remember we actually had sort of like these CDs to watch that the David and Deepak had recorded back sometime in the 80s. It was really something. But anyway, so I came to do that, and I had a really incredible experience, whereas in my own health, drastically took a turn for the better, and I lost a lot of weight, and my cholesterol lowered, and just more importantly, my system became more balanced, and I felt better, and I could function better in the world and really manifest all of my desires. And I attributed that all to Ayurveda. So then I began to study through the Chopra Center. to get my certification as an Ayurvedic health counselor. And I also studied with Amadea Morningstar, who wrote several Ayurvedic cookbooks that are very famous. They're sort of like the foundation of all Ayurvedic cooking in the West comes from Amadea. And so I was so lucky to fall in with these teachers, and Dr. John Douillard from Life Spa in Colorado, and then Dr. Vasant Ladd at the Ayurvedic Institute in New Mexico, and in India. And one thing led to another, to another, to another. And I just kept studying. And I just, it just became an all-consuming passion of mine, so much so that I now write books on Ayurveda. I used to have a bookstore and I closed it so I could now practice Ayurveda full time and write books about it. So it's how I live my entire life, and it has been since 2007. So it's been quite a while, and I just see how much it's benefited me, my clients, my animals, and my family, everybody around me. So I just keep at it.
I wanted to show your books too, Susan, so everyone knows where they can find out more if they want to start today learning from you. Ayurveda Beginner's Guide. I love this book. It's such a perfect place to start. And if someone is a more experienced practitioner, it has plenty of anecdotes and recipes and daily routines and healing remedies. And speaking of routines, her more recent book, Seasonal Self-Care Rituals, Eat, Breathe, Move, and Sleep Better According to Your Dosha. I love this book. It just feels amazing. I know you guys can't really feel it where you're at. Maybe we could try, but it's got just a lovely energy to it, both of your books. And so both of those can be found on Amazon if anyone's interested in that.
And at your local bookstore.
Oh, yes. And at Anthropology. Let's make sure we put that in.
As well, but remember to shop local when you can.
Yeah. Oh, that's so sweet.
There's another website, bookshop.org, that will get you the books from your local bookstores. So let's not forget that.
I want to thank everyone for being here. Oh, look, Sarah says she just ordered both books earlier today. That's awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Great. Sarah is such an amazing woman in the way she cares for all of her animals and just continues to learn and grow. So that will definitely serve you well on your path, Sarah. And anybody else that's here, let us know that you're here with us. We'd love to see you, who you're watching with, where you're from. And if you're willing, please share this little session out with the world, just so more people can learn about these teachers that can truly change our lives, as Susan has mine, and definitely so many others. So, and why we're here today also is to give you guys a connection with her. And if you're interested in learning more, if you like what you experience here, Total Wellbeing for Dogs, our 6-week online course is coming. It is guided by 6 experts in their field. And Susan is one of our Ayurveda speakers who will bring so much goodness because her love and passion for dogs is so deep and genuine and pure. She's not just trying to figure it out, but it's who she is through and through. So Susan, tell us, what have you seen? Speaking of Ayurveda for animals and dogs, what have you seen work, and have you seen it work well for animals? And how do you see that come through for them?
Yeah, when I first realized that I could use Ayurveda with my pets, one of the very first things I did was to use marma therapy, which is an Ayurvedic sort of acupressure therapy where you use touch on certain points of the body. There's many, many points. There's 600 and some points we call nadis on the body to create sort of a connection between the tissues and to promote healing, reduce inflammation, and to let the body know that it can heal itself really in these places. So I started to perform Reiki as well as marma therapy on my dogs, and I saw that they reacted differently. So while I had 3 dogs at the time, one just passed, Shadow, 16 and a half. She was amazing. Shadow and Ella, my border collie mix, they did not like Reiki. They actually would get up and leave the room. But while my dog Junie, who is a rescue from India, Junie loved Reiki. Junie loves everything. Everything you do, Junie loves. So I could do Reiki on Junie. And then I started doing, she has some deformities in her legs. So I started doing some things to promote some circulation and so on, and anywhere she might have pain, I would notice. So besides just doing the Reiki there, I started doing some light pressure points, Ayurveda points in the areas, or marma points in the areas where I thought that she had pain. And she reacted really well. So I thought, well, since my other dogs don't like Reiki, let me try the Marma. And then the Marma became like they would ask for it. Like Ella
That's
would just
great.
sit in front of me with her back to me. So I would do Marma on her spine. And if I stopped, she would look up at me like, why are you stopping? And so I realized you really need to ask your animals, what do you want? You can't just do it. And so through marmotherapy, I began to practice more Ayurveda with my dogs, including ashwagandha in their food at times when I thought that there was some stress levels, holidays coming up where there might be like fireworks or things like that, just to sort of begin to balance out the system. Or if we were traveling, then I know flower essences are not Ayurvedic, but flower essences fit into this plan as well, along with the Ayurveda. And then using many different formulas for inflammation reduction that we would use in humans, but there are several Ayurveda companies that also make these formulations for dogs. And so I would get those and mix those into their diet, as well as looking at the food, of course, that they eat. Whole food, fresh food. We do feed a lot of raw. We're vegetarian, but we give the dogs raw meat or cooked meat. We make them bone broth, like different things that I would give to different people who present as different doshas in Ayurveda. That's your mind, body, constitution. So one of my dogs is a little bit more vata, a little bit, hyper, going all over the place, making sure she has more grounding food, maybe some oatmeal in her food and so on. Junie, my other dog who from India, she needs a little bit of pep sometimes. She's a late sleeper. So I make sure that she gets some lighter food and she feeds less, like I give her less food, but really protein rich to feed her blood. And they get like an Ayurvedic spice mix that I make of cinnamon, ginger, and turmeric. They get that on their meal every day because that also just washes through the system and helps to reduce inflammation. And we use a little bit of essential oils. And these are things that I'll be talking about in my class that I teach for the Total Wellbeing for Dogs. I talk about very carefully how to use essential oils because that's something that's very effective, but you have to be very careful with it. And how to use all these different types of things we're talking about, including how to figure out the dosha of your dog. Are they vata, pitta, or kapha? Do they have a lot of heat? Are they kind of lazy and laid back? Or they kind of easily distracted and scared and anxious and worried? So, we have to figure that out first, and we'll talk about that. And then how to feed them, exercise them, how to be with them in order to balance their doshas and their well-being. And being outside is something that being out in nature is something that is so important. The dogs crave to be outside and they'll do grounding. They just want to lay on the earth to get themselves aligned with the season that we're in. And it's amazing to watch that and how much better they feel. So we learn so much from the animals as well. We lay on the ground and take our shoes off, and
we should do it more often, right?
Absolutely. So it goes both ways. They teach us and we can treat them.
Yeah, it reminds me of a cute story that happened yesterday. Graham, my hound dog, he was out at the fence getting all upset. Somebody walked by with 3 dogs. So, of course, from him behind the fence, it's like a very upsetting ordeal. And so he's over there. I'm trying to call him. He won't listen. He's getting extra worked up. Maybe one of the dogs, I don't know, maybe she was in heat or who knows what happened there, but he was getting extra worked up. So as I finally get him away and they continue walking down the street, I see him come toward the house again. He shakes from head to tail, and then he just drops over on the dirt. And it looked almost as if he passed out or something. And I ran up to him and he was just regrounding himself. He was like, "Oh no, I'm fine. I'm just regrounding myself after that whole episode. That took a lot of energy." So it just showed me like, that's what we should do more. And they are so natural in their connection with this beautiful natural world. And we can learn a lot from them. And then we can learn a lot of ways to apply nature's kingdom closer to their life, because of course we have put a bunch of walls and floors, and you should see mine now, human cush bedding all around them to where they need some of that that reminder of how to be an animal in their most balanced state. So it's really interesting, and that's exactly why we have a whole program to teach it, so we know the steps to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So let's see, we have a couple comments here. Difficult to type. My cat is asleep on my lap. She's working on it. Sounds like we have some working on some comments.
Right.
So yes, Susan, tell us also, in all the work and all the years that you've been doing what you do, what lights you up the most? What do you love? What leaps you out of bed in the morning?
Let's see. I'm thinking not that there's not something, but that there's a lot of things. I think right now, I live on the East Coast in Baltimore, and we are going from summer to fall. And this transition period between summer and fall, I find that to be, it's a period of challenge, and it's a period of time that I know Ayurveda tells us how to do so well, how to rid the body of heat and get ready for the dry coolness of the fall and then the winter. And I really get excited because I have tools to make myself feel better. So I might not jump out of bed first thing in the morning. There might be, look, I'm like heading towards 60. I'm 58 years old. So there's like some creaky, some aches and some pains and so on. I'm like, I have my rituals. I have my Ayurvedic rituals that are going to help me. And honestly, I think that really lights me up to know that I have the tools at my fingertips. I have all my oils in my bathroom, and I have all my lentils and beans and everything in the kitchen and all my spices. And then I think about the agings of my dogs. One is 11 and one is 6. My 11-year-old, she has a lot more energy than I do, but she's going through some joint issues as well. And I'm just so grateful that I can help myself and that I can help her. And if I really think about it and look within, I think it lights me up to know that I don't need to rely on somebody else to make me feel better. I don't need to rely on someone else to give me advice on how to age wisely and so on. I mean, I can certainly, if I need to go to a doctor or a practitioner or a physical therapist, I will go. But I also have my own toolkit. And I do have the advice from 5,000 years ago from our sages and our doctors and Vaidyas, the people that we have studied with, and then wise people like you and workshops and things that I've taken to help us. And I feel like I have it in my own hands. And that makes me feel like I always have an answer, that I'm never scrambling, like, what do I do? Who's going to take care of me? How does this happen? No, I feel calm. And I'm like, oh, Ayurveda says we can do this oiling today, or we can do this type of exercise, or we can have this to eat. And I can look at my dogs and say, what's happening with you today? What do you need today? And I can help figure that out on my own with this knowledge. And that's very comforting to know
empowering.
Empowering, yeah.
Yes.
And support. It's a huge support system, right?
Yeah.
You never feel lost. You never feel that like out at sea and, oh my God, I have no idea. Oh, that was Junie just barking. She agrees.
She agrees. Barking on the truth. Barking on the truth.
I think that might be what lights me up. I can take care of myself. Yeah.
I can totally see that and feel that myself. And I feel that for pet parents everywhere also, because even more so, I think we turn it all over to the veterinarians. And just like you said, not that there's not a place for veterinarians. Thank goodness we have these healers, and especially phenomenal ones, 2 of them being in our course, actually, in Total Wellbeing. And so they're there when we need them. But on a day-to-day, we have so much more capability to help and heal and know what's needed for our animals than we give ourselves credit for. And the more we learn about the natural healing process for ourselves, for animals, the more we realize that our whole kitchen, like you said, the whole space outside our front door, our quiet time and stillness, like all of those are tools and resources that can and will heal. No matter if you're a human, a dog, a cat, a bird, a plant, they can and will heal you. And so we just, as we learn them, we get to feel empowered by that knowledge. So thank you for being such a bright light and force and carrier of that wisdom, especially to like a very modern society, you know, the Western world. You have to write books that look like this in order for people to be willing to pick them up, versus some of the classical Ayurvedic texts. No one's even touching all of that. You know, it's like this all applies, even though it's thousands of years old. It applies very well to the here and now. So, yeah. So I just love
Yeah,
learning from you, Susan.
thank you. I wanted to say that even my dogs are barking right now. Sorry, but
It's all right.
I hope you can hear me okay. Recently, a friend of mine posted on Facebook about veterinarians being so overwhelmed right now because of the
Mhm.
pandemic. I think everybody's home
Yes.
and taking their dogs in, and so I wrote a thing about, you know, how you can take care of your dogs and watch and be aware of what's going on with them. So you do not need to rush them to the vet every time something happens. You
Mhm.
can practice all this preventative, all these preventions by feeding well and exercising well and so on, and keeping track, perhaps keeping a journal of what's going on with your dog and watching them. So you don't need to run to a vet because of every little thing, because vets are really overwhelmed right now. And you can call and get some advice too, but we need to take responsibility like we do for ourselves. We need to feed our dogs appropriately, exercise them appropriately, give them the proper supplements, and be aware of everything that they do
Yeah.
and the love that they need as well.
Mm.
One is right here, right now.
Oh, cute.
Little Ella. And
Ella.
but yeah, so I think we have to take into this whole culture of vets also being veterinarians are so swamped right now. So
They
let's
sure
see
are.
what we can do for our pets in this course. It will
Yes.
be just phenomenal for people to find these things that they can do and not run to the vet for every little thing that shows up.
That's exactly it. Before we finish up, let's take this question from Lorraine. She says, I use ginger, turmeric, and cinnamon in my dog food. Nice job, Lorraine. Did you say to sprinkle it on your dog's food? I thought cinnamon was too spicy for dogs.
Well, from what I have learned, and it goes by weight, that it seems to be okay. And I just give my dogs are between 45 and 55 pounds, and they get half a teaspoon a day of this
Mhm.
mixture, and it seems to be okay. And
Okay.
I know I got this advice from some vet, and I don't remember who. But I guess you also should watch the constitution of your dog and watch their bowel movements for sure.
Mhm.
Because like for one dog, I include psyllium in her diet, but not for the other, because one has some anal gland issues. So she gets a little sprinkling of psyllium too, a couple times a week in her food. But that's not for a dog who has dry, hard bowel movements. So I'm not sure. I would love to hear, you know, what you would say about cinnamon, Amanda, but I'm not sure that there's a problem.
Hmm. Yeah, I think we all can become, like you, Susan, such an amazing chef. We can become a chef for our dogs, knowing then where they're at right now and what they need. But yes, these three ingredients are good for our animals, and a limited, not overdosed, excessive, but certainly can be utilized for some time. That's what I like to do too. Is tons of variety. So for a while, these would be very helpful depending on the dog's circumstances and needs. Ceylon, Ceylon cinnamon is also very good for like regulating the blood sugar levels. And we used that type of cinnamon for a kapha that was recently in our house, a little kapha dog that lost
Mhm.
5 pounds. And he needed that kind of, it heats and it helps digestion. It helps stimulate the process of absorption, yet it also kind of balances things out. So his hunger levels are more under control. So that can be really helpful. So, there's so much more to learn here. That's why we have courses like this, so that you come
Yeah.
away with very specific knowledge and then are able to ask your questions. All of
Yeah.
the sessions in our course that we're talking about, Total Wellbeing, by the way, they're all live sessions.
Yeah.
And so you have the opportunity to ask your questions and get those answers.
That's Junie. I do use pumpkin. They get pumpkin usually twice a day, a heaping
That's great.
tablespoon,
Hmm.
and as well as sometimes the psyllium, and sometimes we use Glandex, the brand
Uh-huh.
Glandex, because Junie has
So
had
good.
anal gland swelling, and
Hmm.
she's not able to get that the liquid out, I guess, in the anal gland
Hmm.
sometimes, and so this definitely. Psyllium and pumpkin sometimes to go together. And
Hmm.
I'm talking a little bit of psyllium, again, half a teaspoon sprinkled on the food, just to give a little
Hmm.
push to help
Yeah.
get more pressure, get harder harder stool is what I'm
Yes,
talking
because
about. I
the
could
eyes are
talk
going in
about
there.
this stuff forever.
I know. I know. I believe you. So I want to ask if you guys enjoyed this conversation. Have you enjoyed Susan? I sure hope so, because there's so much to love about you. And I can't wait to spend more time. In just a few weeks, we get to share even more of you. We'll close with this final comment here from Tracy. Amanda and Tracy, great to see you again so soon. Loving the teachings, much gratitude. Oh, very
Thank
nice,
you.
Tracy. Thank you for being here. Thank
Thank
you all
you.
for your time. Thank you, especially Susan. I'll just put up again that our course, Total Wellbeing for Dogs, you can find more information there. You do have $125 off until this Saturday. So I have a link in the chat. I'll put it in again as soon as we finish up here. So you can use that to get in there and learn more and hopefully enroll. We would love to see you, help you, and support your animals, and not only their wellness today, but their longevity. You can see with Susan's dog, how old was Shadow when she passed?
Shadow was 16 and a half years old. And
16 and a
she
half.
was really doing great until she wasn't.
Yeah.
And when she wasn't, it was beautiful, euthanized at home with everybody around her.
Mm.
And it was the most beautiful lifespan for a dog. I think
Mm.
Shadow was an inspiration to all of us. Such a beautiful
Yeah.
girl. Yeah,
Oh,
boxer lab.
lucky to be your dog here and
Oh,
Larry's dog. As she's what a
we were
blessing
blessed.
to
We were,
land
as
in
you
that
all
house.
know. Yeah, you're blessed by your animals.
All right, friends. Well, thank you
Yeah.
again, Susan, for being here. We'll see you soon, and we'll hope to see all of you guys again very soon, too. Don't hesitate if you have any questions. We are here. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks,
Namaste, friends.
everybody. Thanks, Amanda.
Bye.
Bye.